demand generation has come to replace in some context lead generation. We'll talk about the difference between the two. So if you don't mind, Tigran, please elaborate on that.
Yeah, sure. So demand generation is pretty new term in terms of like marketing and growth. And it's usually referred to set of activities that marketing team is performing to increase brand awareness, to increase the brand and customer connection. And it enhances a lot the process of selling. So it helps a lot marketing teams and then the sales teams to sell to more warm customers. And traditionally, if we look back, what we were doing as marketers, we were doing mostly lead generation, was generating some emails, phone numbers, basically leads for the sales team, and then passing that list of leads to the sales team and hoping that they will contact them and then close those deals. But in reality, what was usually happening, a lot of those deals weren't relevant, a lot of those deals weren't qualified, they were looking for a solution that marketers are pushing, and a lot of in many cases the buyer journey and the decision making flow for buyers also changed over time because people are now have better tools, they have better ways of searching, doing research, understanding what exactly they need, and they're actually entering into this buying mode once they have already figured out a lot themselves. And usually buyers nowadays don't like this pushy sales approach. So I think in that sense, transitioning from lead generation to demand generation is one of the crucial elements in current marketers' life because it definitely drives some results. That's what we actually did for our company. We saw the results. And yeah, I'm happy to share more details as we go.
Yes, of course. In fact, as you mentioned, a lot of people, when buying software or a B2B product, they have all the tools needed to compare them and also understand not only beneficially or feature-wise which one is the better choice, but also price-wise, and it actually drives competition even higher, right? And does demand generation help here? What do you think?
I think demand generation helps in the sense that it already drives more like high intent, warm audience into the funnel. Basically, it can be the website, it can be some other place. But actually, once the buyer enters the funnel, they already know about the product. They at least know about the pain that they are having, the problem they are having, and they know that there are solutions there, and they somehow are already have some connection with your brand, and that helps a lot. And once when you compare with like cold outreach or traditional lead generation, the results are tremendous. But it requires a lot of like mindset shift for marketers, for sales team as well, because it also comes to this the comparison, collaboration between sales and marketing. Because traditionally those two teams usually blame each other because marketing delivers leads, sales doesn't able to close because the leads weren't of the high quality. At least that's how sales like frames this, and then marketing frames in a way that okay, sales team doesn't do their job, so they can't close. And this gap gets bigger and bigger, and demand generation is a way to close this gap.
Bring them closer.
Exactly.
Yeah, and in some cases, startups call these teams revenue teams, like two-in-one teams. Is it actually working? What do you think? Like having just one department instead of two?
I don't have experience of this one department, but what I have experience is in this new term that is called revenue marketing, which is basically you still have separate sales and marketing departments, but they work a lot together. Rather than when in past you usually had this like MQL stage, where it's like marketing qualified leads. So basically, marketing's goal and the whole metric, success metric, was generating as many MQLs as possible, and that. Marketing wasn't caring what was happening to those MQLs after they transitioned into sales. Are they closing? At which rate? What was actually working? Which regions? Which messages? Marketing didn't care. And it drew a lot of like misunderstanding between sales and marketing. But with revenue marketing, you have two teams working together for the same goal, and the same goal is revenue. Of course, marketing cannot directly impact revenue, but they can directly impact the pipeline you generate, the number of opportunities, deals you generate. And The higher the quality those deals are, the better they will close.
Mhm.
So this revenue marketing term, I think, is really interesting because it shifts again the mindset for the marketers. Because for whole life, marketers, I'm doing my job perfectly because I delivered, let's say, 1,000 leads, 1,000 MQLs to the sales team.
Yeah.
But in reality, business is suffering.
Yeah.
So
I bet. So for our joiners, so that they have a clearer view of what we're talking about, please explain the difference between marketing qualified leads and sales qualified leads. In short, we name them MQL and SQL. So what's the difference, and why anyone, not just marketers, but anyone working in private companies, private businesses, should know about it?
yeah, I think MQLs and SQLs also changed during the last decade, I would say. Initially, I got acquainted with these terms from HubSpot. Basically, a lot of people who are doing inbound marketing also knew about these stages of lead, MQL, SQL, then opportunity, customer, then advocates, basically.
Mhm.
So MQL is the marketing qualified lead, a lead that actually marketing team starts to market, let's say.
Mhm.
In many companies, it also varies because some of the companies are more strict. For them, MQLs aren't actually the ones that they are passing to sales, but rather more qualified MQLs are the ones that are going to sales, which is again good approach, but probably not the best one because we already know that there is a better way of doing the things.
Yeah, I
And
bet.
sales qualified leads are the leads that actually sales starting to work, sales start to sell, and one of the factors that sales and marketing teams and leadership team actually can understand that there is a gap between sales and marketing when you have a lot of MQLs and very small amount of SQLs.
Mhm.
And that's red flag, I would say, for businesses.
Yeah. So in certain cases, it's much better to have qualified but a low amount of leads to nurture them, to have enough time to invest in them, right? To send demos and white papers, one pagers, whatever it is, rather than have like 100 leads that will like really waste your time and not even deliver enough results. That's the reality. Am I right?
Yeah. In that sense, it's better to focus on the high intent, high quality opportunities that at least for some period of time, depending on the sales cycle. Yeah, for example, for our company, we know that there is let's say 3 month sales cycle for really urgent customers who know what they want, and there is longer cycle for the ones that we need to nurture.
Mm-hmm.
But the quality of the pipeline, the number of deals, it just goes up, but doesn't necessarily need that you need to have more MQLs or more leads.
Mm-hmm.
Because maybe a year ago,
Mm-hmm.
we had this traditional lead generation approach in our company.
Mm-hmm.
Many leads, different ebook downloads, white paper downloads, a lot of things happening on the CRM, but very few deals actually in the pipeline.
Yeah.
And we switched the whole thing, we switched the messaging, we switched how we approach those deals, and it was a risky approach. Because as a marketer, you deliver your MQLs, everything is fine. But in reality, then you need to make this risky step. You don't know what will happen. Will you generate any pipeline? Will be there any leads, any deals? But you should do this because it's a way of growth, basically. And the world changes, you also need to adapt.
Yeah. I have a lot of questions, but I will just wait until we go with the, with the curriculum. So my next question is why MQLs are bad overall. I know you have mentioned so many reasons for it, why it's bad, but still, and then what we should focus on instead.
Yeah, as I said, MQLs are bad in a sense if we approach them as a single success metric for the marketing teams. It was the way traditionally how marketing was measured. Now a lot of things has shifted, as we discussed. And instead of MQLs can be one of the steps for us to understand, are we on track, just feeling the pulse, yeah? But then it's really important how much qualified pipeline deals are generating for the marketing. And this is where we understand, okay, how are your activities also impacting the pipeline? Which ones you should do more? Which ones you should stop doing? And all this makes sense once it ends up with the revenue, rather than just lists of contacts in the CRM that will not drive anything for the business.
Yeah, yes, agree so much. We have witnessed the same actually experience, not only for our agency as we were, growing and trying so many different things, but also for our clients, and especially when it comes to really complicated products. Products that need so much explanation about their features, about why they are beneficial, that involves so much education before even converting. MQLs really not end up being clients. They literally just end up at the moment of when they I don't know, fill out the form or download the ebook, and that's it, and they don't ever respond to any messaging
Yeah,
afterwards.
exactly. Exactly. It's they usually show some intent, they show some interest, but for example, in our case with SuperAnnotate, the product is extremely technical. It's for ML engineers, for AI engineers, and then of course there are already companies who are AI mature, who already know what they are going to do with the platform. But there are a lot of other companies that we need to educate them and basically make them understand, okay, they have a need for a product, and that's where demand generation actually helps. We do webinars, we do a lot of blog postings, we are planning also some other activities to educate our potential customers, our audience.
Yeah, and whenever we, for example, at our agency, whenever we work with a client, especially when they are a B2B company, we not only strategize like a certain pipeline for lead gen or demand gen, we also come up with a very complicated content marketing plan that will include so many white papers, one pagers, demos, deck pitches, anything that will explain in more detail what their product is about, why it's beneficial, who is it for, what is the end result, what is the price comparison, what are other competitors' comparisons with their products and their features, etc. And in some cases, it ends up also with so many explainer videos, animation videos. So I will later on ask you to comment on all of these and say which ones you have personally tried and which ones uh, brought the most results for your company, for your company's product. And but before then, let's talk about revenue marketing and what is the best alignment in your experience between marketing and sales teams.
Yeah, I would say it's interesting. It happened once when one of our investors was kind of shocked in a positive way when someone from our sales team actually started to praise marketing team. And he said it's the first time as an investor I'm seeing a sales guy praising marketing. Because that's the perfect way to measure how aligned the marketing team is with the sales team. Because instead of blaming, now those teams are working towards the same goal. Yeah. And it changes a lot. It changes a lot because marketing starts thinking a lot about sales and vice versa. And the collaboration is getting just more interesting because now it's interesting for us to understand, okay, what's the best messaging that we are driving those leads and they are converting, or what are the industries or what are the regions that we should target more, because sales has all those insights and we are just talking to them and understanding based on them. We are then adjusting our campaigns. So I think revenue marketing is just bridging these two teams in the company and works towards the business metrics, which is the primary one is the revenue.
What kind of tools you would recommend for this bridging? Is it something about communication? Is it something about one way of setting strategy, just one way of setting tasks for the next quarter? What kind of tools you personally use?
Yeah, from tools, I would say it's mostly, let's say for our case, it's like OKRs and goals that we are setting. Marketing OKRs are usually as closer to the revenue as possible. Yeah, like generating pipeline, generating deals, and you mentally already start thinking about the revenue. And then it's also a lot of collaboration and communication between the teams. We have syncs, between those teams, between sales and marketing. Leaders are also very much syncing with each other, and it's really crucial to pass the information from these two teams to each other, and also have everything somewhere in one single place. For our case, it's our CRM, where we can have all the information about the contact. You can see the whole history, you can see the sales communication, you can see the marketing messaging campaigns, everything that the contact interaction. And a single source of truth is really important in terms of qualitative metrics, but also understanding some quantitative metrics like conversions, pipeline value, which sources are working, which doesn't.
Yeah. So you mentioned also communication. Is it? What about responsibility? Is one team responsible in front of the other, and vice versa, or it's not like that?
In our case, when you are working towards the same goal, you are automatically responsible. It's our best interest to do our best to just build a pipeline that the sales can close, and they already know that for them there is no way of it, kind of explaining that okay, the leads weren't good because they already qualified those leads. Those leads are already in the pipeline, so they're responsible in front of us, and they're responsible in front of sales team, and it's really pretty interesting collaboration.
I see. Well, that sounds amazing. I think any startup would envy that, because when the company just gets started and it just gets built, it's practically a little bit impossible to set this right. It kind of has to be done in between, when you are not so small anymore, but not so big anymore, so that it's just impossible to implement. But you mentioned this change. That 1 year ago you were totally two separate teams, doing only marketing department was doing only lead gen, and you just transferred totally 180%. So could you please explain this change, this transfer, and what kind of things you exactly changed in the department, and how long it took this change?
Yeah, I think so. One of the issues there was that the marketing department was just forming. There were just me and two more people. Sales department was also just forming. There weren't any strict processes also, and it was really easy to misunderstand. It was really easy to blame each other. It was really easy to pass the leads and then don't follow up. And a lot of this happens. And then once we understand, okay, that there is no pipeline. Basically, there aren't any. We see 1,000 people are signing up. Emails are sent to those people, but nothing happens. Or it happens, but not in a scale that we want, or we understand, okay, that we can't scale this. This will definitely will not work. And then it took probably 1 or 2 months for us to understand, okay, where the world is moving, something has changed. And then what are some solutions that we checked with some other companies, we checked with some other our friends that also are running startups. And as you mentioned, it's a really the timing is really crucial. You can do when it's really small, but you shouldn't wait until it's already too late. And we did it pretty in a right time, because the sales team was already formatting and marketing team is already understanding okay what's going on. And then we actually changed probably everything, I would say, even starting from how people were requesting demos. Because before they were requesting demos, they were waiting that someone from the sales team will send them an email and then schedule a meeting. And then we started to introduce new tools. We introduced Chili Piper. We integrated it with our forms. Basically, it allows us to capture the form information, and based on some rules on the background, understand if we qualify those leads. Then we show a calendar right away so they can book a meeting with our account executive. And then we also added one more layer on top of it with clear leads. So we are doing also lead enrichment. So we just needed the email from the potential customer, and in probably 70%, 80% of the cases, Clearbit was finding the information and enriching the data. And we didn't need to ask about their name, their job title, their company size, and all this information. Because it's easy to convert with one email field rather than like 10 fields, so you need to qualify somehow.
Yeah.
And those two changes actually drove our pipeline like 2x, I would say, just in a month.
Wow, amazing.
And then the way we started communicating with the sales team. Sales already knew, okay, this person booked because they're already qualified. They are from certain industry, with certain size. And yeah, in our case, for example, we have a lot of academic users, a lot of researchers, and they are free users to us. And it doesn't make sense for us to put sales effort on them because they are not going to pay.
Yeah.
And before we were having like 50% of those people going to sales.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. By the way, can it be that the reason for the kind of demand gen becoming famous, is that kind of organic growth returned? It's not applicable to Facebook or Instagram, of course, because the organic growth has decreased so much that it's already not visible. But can we say that it's there on LinkedIn, and that's where sales qualified leads reside, and it can be totally done organically?
Yeah, we did some LinkedIn like campaigns, not really huge ones. That's something we're actually working on now because we definitely see that LinkedIn has a lot of potential that we can utilize. But yeah, LinkedIn is a great place to brand this like brand and customer connection just by giving value, just by sharing relevant content that's useful for the potential customer. Even if they are not looking for a solution now, even if they don't have the problem now, once they start interacting with the brand, you will be on top of their mind once they need a solution. That's something that a lot of companies are doing pretty great. In marketing, let's say, like Metadata is doing an amazing job, I think. But there are also some other companies that are doing excellent job there. Yeah. So yeah, LinkedIn is a hidden gem, I think, that a lot of companies should utilize.
Yeah, I totally agree. Okay, now let's talk about channels, because we have mentioned LinkedIn. Let's talk about channels and what kind of methods do you use for demand gen, both organically and in paid versions.
Yeah. So yeah, in terms of channels, in demand gen, it's really crucial this high intent warm leads part, and definitely direct traffic, organic traffic are driving the vast majority of those visitors into the website. But then you have like social media, Facebook, Reddit, LinkedIn, Twitter, Google Ads, and a lot of times I see that marketers approach those channels in the same way, and I think there is this lack of understanding how each platform works and how should we utilize, how should we like measure the success on each platform. Let's say I see a lot of LinkedIn ads that have this objective of driving traffic to the website, but historically isn't the best place to drive traffic from, because people are on LinkedIn, they're scrolling, they're reading some stuff, they don't usually like to leave LinkedIn and to go somewhere else. And LinkedIn also doesn't favor that. And PRs like click-through rate are like super low on LinkedIn. You can also do some clickbait stuff to drive traffic, but then you have like really high bounce rate on your website. So yeah, I would say brands can focus more on building content on LinkedIn. Even if you're running some promotions, you can run like videos, you can run some like long form text as LinkedIn ads, because once the potential customer starts consuming this content, it gets the customer gets closer to your brand.
Yeah.
Again, that's the whole sense of demand generation.
Because in some cases, I'm so frequently asked, what is the difference between demand gen and account-based marketing? So, because there are so many similarities, and could you please explain the differences as well?
Yeah, so I would say it's almost the same, but with the one like really big difference. With account-based marketing, you already you target those companies, potential customers that you already have somewhere in your list. Let's say you target these 100 customers in automotive industry. Those are your customers, and you basically do all the demand gen approaches, but only towards those 100 accounts. And then you have different roles on those accounts. Yeah, let's say maybe some like engineers are your like target customers, but they also are influenced by some other job title in their company, so we target
Mhm.
all of them. So yeah, account-based marketing is again something trendy, but isn't something new. It's actually marketing, but more targeted towards certain accounts.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we have been experimenting account-based marketing with one of our clients now, and of course, we are doing it on LinkedIn. And the most important question, and actually, a dear partner of HBC has joined right now our call, are saying hi. The reason why he's here is I want him to hear you out on the difference between account-based marketing on LinkedIn and demand gen. If you don't mind, please repeat, but in a more elaborate way for him, because he's also considering trying out LinkedIn for lead gen.
Yeah, so account-based marketing is when you have a list of customers, potential customers that you want to target, and then all your marketing actions are toward that list. I can bring the example for like in our case with SuperAnnotate. So we are targeting ML engineers in different industries, but there are also some specific industries that we target. We see higher value. For example, we are targeting like drone companies, like aerial imaging companies. And then we have this list of 200 companies with their respective employees in terms of head of data science, like machine learning engineer, CTO. So those are some parts of our ideal customer personas, and some of them have different roles. But then we target all our messaging, all our actions to attract those people's interest. And for example, let's say we can run an awareness ads on LinkedIn targeting a specific list of users on LinkedIn, and then let's say our cold outbound team, SDR team, can reach out to those people. When they reach out, we are not new for them. They've already seen our ads, let's say 5 times. They've seen our video, or they have been to our webinar because we've already targeted them, let's say, for 2 months. And suddenly those like cold leads are becoming really warm contacts.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the whole idea in short.
Is it possible to do accounts-based marketing in an organic way without spending huge budgets on it? What do you think?
Yeah, but it will be hard. Yeah. Because usually with ads you can target more specifically, and that's when you really where is the value of account-based marketing. With organic, you usually target like more broader audience, and then you hope that you also hit the audience of the accounts that you're targeting. That's why with like LinkedIn and Facebook, it's really you can just laser focus target those people.
Yeah. Okay, if we were to compare Google Ads and LinkedIn Ads in terms of demand gen, which one do you recommend more and why?
So there is this difference. So LinkedIn ads are like not pure, but it can be used for demand gen just to drive the awareness, brand. And Google ads are more demand capture too, because there's already some demand. People are high intent, they are searching for some solution, or they at least know that there is some problem for them. They're looking for like ways, they're doing some research, and that's when you capture their demand. Definitely Google ads are more high intent customers, potential customers. And LinkedIn ads is really hard to measure because if we go to the topic of attribution, with Google it's like fairly easy. You can attribute any like conversion, you can attribute any deal, opportunity. But with LinkedIn ads, it gets tough because a person can see your LinkedIn ad for 3 months and suddenly tell his friend over a beer, and then the next day someone signs up from direct traffic and you say, okay, our direct traffic is growing, but actually it was your LinkedIn ad that was driving the sign up.
Yeah,
so it's
true.
Hard.
Yeah, true. Just because, our next topic actually is attribution, and I want you to really explain what attribution is, and and go really deep into the topic.
Yeah, so attribution, it's the like understanding the source of and channels of the conversions. Let's say it can be leads, it can be then over like if we move through the funnel, it can be deals, it can be then revenue. So you can attribute, okay, which source drives the most revenue, or which source drives the most signups or the most deals in the B2B world. So it's and it's like uh, attribution. There are a lot of attribution tools. There are a lot of CRMs. They have attribution built in there, and usually some of them works, but with some percentage, maybe 50%, 70% accuracy. The rest is actually happening in there is this new term called dark funnel, and probably you have heard about it. This dark funnel or dark social, it happens, for example, as a case that I just mentioned. Yeah, someone can see the LinkedIn ad, they can send Facebook Messenger to their friend, and then their friend signs up after a month. There is no trackable way for you to understand that it's from an ad that you are running, unless it's a UTM parameter inserted into the or the attribution tool captures. I know people who have built attribution software for their in-house use for like almost $500,000. They spent all this money, but still they weren't able to understand like 100% accurate attribution rate. One of the ways can be like self-reported attribution. For example, around 6-7 months ago, in one of our forums, we were running this experiment. And we were asking for the customer's email name, company name. We were also asking where have they heard about us. And it helped a lot. We did it a bit differently because we actually offered checkboxes, like 6 or 7 options, and they were choosing because we already knew what are the most popular for us. But I had a lot of companies also doing self-attribution with just empty text, and then they type like it's okay. It's different than to gather this information for the reporting purposes. But if you don't have, let's say, thousands of demo requests, you have 100 demo requests or 200 demo requests, it's totally doable even manually. But you definitely know, okay, that this person have heard about you at some podcast. They have heard about you at somewhere else. And that really helped. We understood some like insights that we never have thought about actually.
Yeah, and it's working much better than inserting a lot of UTMs, right? Here and there.
Yeah, we had a partnership with one of the companies that we thought that wasn't working because on attribution level, we didn't have any deals from them. It turned out around like 1/5 of our pipeline was from this company.
Wow, amazing.
Self-attribution.
Wow, it's very nice that you hear others having the same issues, problems like you, and you kind of feel not alone in this world. Our next topic will be to those who are joining us. If any of you wants to become a marketer or is interested to enter this field, how to become an expert at demand gen, where to start from, what kind of skill sets is really crucial to become a good one, please tell us.
Yeah, pretty interesting and broad topic. I would say it's really like constant learning is one of the key aspects for me because like I have like all this experience, but still I am learning every day because a lot of things are changing, markets are changing, products are changing, buyers are changing. So this like constant like curiosity and ready to learn is one of the key skills because a lot of people are self-taught marketers because marketing is something, it's not a science. You can start by doing yourself, experimenting and checking how like what others are doing, how they are doing. And then there comes this part when you already have some basic understanding, you also have some basic interest, experience. But then you need to do some like bold step, you need to do some risky step. And moving from this like safe world of like traditional lead gen, when everything is kind of measurable, marketing is pretty happy, but there is no like real business impact. I think it's really risky, but it's really necessary for many companies and marketers to do this step and then just 2x or 3x their abilities. Because once you move into this demand gen motion, you understand how high impact is your everyday activity for the business. It's not just adding more like emails into CRM, but it's driving like 1 million revenue. It's driving like 2 million revenue, and that really that like next level of satisfaction.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. In fact, we have talked mostly about everything. The only topic I have left is the one that I've mentioned in the beginning, different contents and how each one of them contributes to the demand gen, and what are your experiences with each one of them. Let's start with articles and gradually, go up to the webinars and podcasts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so this also starts with articles. We have different types of articles. We have some introduction level articles for beginners who are just starting in the industry. We have some more deep technical articles for our more target audience, with some use cases, with some product related information as well. And it's again really hard sometimes to measure the impact of this content, but a lot of times we listen to the recordings of sales calls, and we see that a lot of companies, a lot of people are actually reading those articles, and it helps them during this research period when they are researching for a tool or comparing tools, that they are using this information, and then they are coming back to us. And it's really fulfilling for us to know that, okay, let's say we got 1,000 views on this article, but it's not just the numbers, but this is something valuable for a customer, potential customer who can then become our partner. So articles, definitely. We do webinars. We do a lot of series of actually webinars where we cover a lot of specific use cases, showing the product. It's not like really salesy webinars, but more informative ones like this one, that it really helps people. And then once you reach out to those people, it's like totally different mood. It's totally different conversation.
Yeah, I totally agree. I have done the same experience. I've had the same experience with webinars as well. When your one and only goal is to really inform and educate, the ones who are joining, then it's on your relationship with the people who have joined is on the next level, compared to the ones which start with a clear call to action, with a clear hook line, like step until the end, you will get a discount code from me, or you'll get I don't know, something valuable in the end, or whatever. The only thing that I really with honest heart offer during our webinars is that if someone is really interested in getting deeper into the topic, or if someone has any questions, or wants a more clear feedback from on a specific product, on a specific company or a situation, they can just reach out and I'll be happy to help. That's the only thing I offer. And if the host has any, I don't know, white papers or one pagers that you usually share for free, just as a goodwill, you're welcome to do so.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think yeah, and no white papers on my side. Basically, I'm not that active actually now on LinkedIn as well, but that's something I'm planning to come back. As we discussed just before the webinar, I had this marketing community on Quora, reached 500,000 members, and then stopped doing it because just got too busy with my current company. So but thanks for having me. Really interesting conversation.
Likewise. Likewise, Tigran. In fact, this topic it demands more time and to go deeper, and probably from a different angle, more narrow one. I don't know, but we'll definitely come back with more information to share with our audience, and hopefully next time we won't have these technical issues, so we can communicate with a larger audience. In the beginning, there were more than 20 people joining on LinkedIn, but it didn't work out. I'm sorry for that, and I'm really thankful and grateful to all the handful of people that joined. It was a pleasure. I have, by the way, recorded the whole webinar, and I will share it on LinkedIn and on YouTube as well, and send to everyone who was so patiently waiting for our webinar to go live.
Perfect. Yeah. Thanks everyone for the attention. Thanks for your time.
Yeah. Thank you too. So thank you guys. If you have any questions, by the way, feel free to write down here in the messenger. If you don't, we'll just end now. Let's wait a bit.
It's really interesting how you mentioned about the podcasts, because we are planning to do podcast, but we haven't started yet. It's interesting for me also to see how they will work.
Yeah.
So
Thank you,
then
Hannah. Yeah, in fact, thank you, Rishikesh. Thanks. Yeah, I see they don't have questions, so feel free to leave the webinar. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Tigran. We'll meet you soon.
bye.
Bye bye. Bye, guys.